Hi everyone, welcome back to Live in Italy Magazine's YouTube channel. I am delighted today to welcome Jules Vissers, who is originally from the Netherlands, but now lives in Florence, Italy. Jules is a textile artist, and we're going to get to see some of her beautiful work as we're talking, and then also get to know what she does and the process behind it. We're also going to talk to Jules about how she got to Italy and the different places that she's lived and her life there. My name is Lisa Morales, and I am the editor of Live in Italy Magazine, a travel and lifestyle publication dedicated to all things Italy. So welcome, Jules. It's nice to have you here.
Hello, Lisa.
Hi.
I'm very happy that you invited me.
Yes, well, it was great to have been introduced to you, get to know you a little bit. I'm excited about our talk. So let's talk about, you are the first person we've interviewed who's come from the Netherlands. So give us some history of what part of the Netherlands are you from and what were you doing there prior to moving to Italy?
Well, I'm from the south of the Netherlands, which is the part of the Netherlands beneath the big rivers. And I'm from a small village, and I basically went to school there. And when I was 19, I moved from the small village in the south to Amsterdam, the biggest, one of the biggest cities in the Netherlands, which is in the north of the Netherlands. Amsterdam is very, very known for all around the world because it's a very beautiful city. And it was a very nice city to study. I lived there for 5 years during my university time.
That's fantastic. And I believe the first time that you went to Italy, you were quite young. So tell us about that.
Well, the first time I went to Italy was with my parents on holiday when I was like 13 years old. We went to Lake Garda near Verona, and then we went to the Tuscany coast. That was the really first time I went to Italy. But then the second time I went there was with my school, with my high school. Yeah, on a study trip.
Yes. So what part of Italy did you go on this study trip?
Well, we went for 8 days on a study trip to Rome, and that has really made a lifelong impression on me, this trip, because, well, we studied Latin at school, so for us it was like a completion of our studies to see all the art, the Roman art, and well, the fantastic architecture. And this trip really triggered my interest for the Italian language, and so afterwards it made me want to study Italian at university. So the first year in Amsterdam, I studied Italian language and literature. And I continue to do that also in the following years, but I also started with European studies. So it has been really important, that trip to Rome. Yes.
So early in life, you didn't necessarily know that you were going to become an artist, but this experience going to Rome and to Italy, other parts of Italy, really impacted you so much so that you wanted to study. Is that right?
That's right. That's right. And well, I was generally interested at the time about going abroad because I wanted to have different experiences. So I've also studied a period in the UK, and during that was after I finished my studies in Amsterdam. But during my third year in Amsterdam, I spent also 8 months in Milan on an exchange program with the University of Milan, and this is really where I continued my interest for the country, and I wrote my thesis in Italian, and it has been also a great experience that time in Milan. Yeah.
Would you have said during that time that you were fairly fluent in Italian then, speaking?
Well, yes. Before going to Milan, I was fluently speaking Italian, and it was important because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to do the courses at the university, because it weren't courses for foreign people. I studied with the Italian students, so
wow,
it
that's
was
excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you.
Yeah. Yeah, yes, that was some, and in this time, I didn't know that then, but when I went to Milan on this university exchange program, one of the first days I was in Milan, I went to university to do some administrative things, just to let them know that I arrived there, and I met 3 or 4 students that they were really Italian students, that they were part of the Erasmus student network, that was like the organization, student organization, that was really doing everything for the foreign students. So they organized parties, and that's when I didn't know it then, but I met my husband in those first days in Milan.
Oh, how exciting.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that, because I imagine he's one of the reasons why you're there, living there now. So at this point, you did not obviously know that you would get married. So how did that come about?
No, I didn't know that. I mean, we were in those 8 months in Milan. We were friends. I mean, I met a lot of students, and we were good friends. We both had different relationships, so it didn't get off at that time. But we afterwards, when I went back to the Netherlands, and also when I went to UK, we always stayed in contact. And at a certain moment, he was also in the UK for his job, so we met again. And in the end, I decided to move to Italy, because he already started his own company, so he couldn't really move towards the Netherlands or towards the UK. So I said, okay, well, for me it's not a problem. I already speak the language, so I will come to Italy. And then I started to work for the Dutch consulate in 1998. So that was when I moved permanently to Italy.
It sounds like you got a really great job opportunity as well. So this is really how you got to Italy permanently, although it seems like because of all the background in the Italian language and culture and history, it was almost your destiny, wasn't it?
Well, I think so, yes. It was almost my destiny. I mean, I've always enjoyed a lot going to Italy, also when I was still living in the Netherlands. So I was really happy to go there, and I got a good job. So it was a good, very, very nice period when we were just the 2 of us living in the city center.
So you're living in Italy, working for the Dutch consulate, but you are a professional artist now.
Yeah.
So tell me, how did that come about? When did you make that decision?
Yeah, I changed. Yeah. Because it has always been like a passion, making art, and it was something that I did in my spare time, because I had a regular job, an office job, but over the years, I continued with private courses in painting, drawing, photography, all kinds of things. And after several years, I got more interested in doing things with yarn. So that started when I was when I lived in Forlì, because we moved a lot of times. I lived in many places in Italy, and after Milan, after 6 years in Milan, I moved to 4 years to Mantua, which is a very beautiful city, like 30 kilometers south of Verona. And this is really a city to visit. It's for tourists. It's great. And I lived there 4 years, and then I lived 3 years on the Tuscany coast. And after that, we moved again to Forlì, which is a city near the Adriatic coast, near Ravenna. And just 4.5 years ago, I moved to Florence, to this city. And this is really our final destination, because we chose this city because we really adore living here, and it's not related to our job. It's really because we wanted to live here, me and also my husband. Yes.
Well, would you agree? I would say that you've settled in the area which is the best place for an artist to live, right?
Yes, that's true. No, of course, in this decision of moving to Florence, the fact that I had all these artistic interests was an important part of why we wanted. I to go here to move art professionally, because after moving to Florence, I enrolled in the State Academy of Fine Arts, and I did a master in textile art. So that was for me. I dedicated myself for like 18 months to this, and completely. And after that, I decided to start my textile studio here in the center of Florence.
Right. Okay. So, well, before we get more into your art, I believe the two of you now are raising a family. You have children, right? So tell us a little about them.
Yes. So, well, they're already big. I mean, my son was born when we lived in Milan, and he's already 20 years old. And my daughter was born when we lived on the Tuscany coast, and she's 14 years old now. So they also moved along with us. They saw many different parts of Italy.
And that's wonderful, and what a great life you have. So what language do you speak at home? Is it Italian then?
Well,
when they were growing up, because I understand
Dutch.
that they're older now.
Yes, yeah. Well, I've always spoken Dutch with them because I wanted them to learn my language. But of course, we also speak Italian, and then they speak English really well. So
that's excellent. I always ask everybody that. Yes, I always ask because I just find that so inspiring that most of the foreigners who are living in Italy, it's usually it's almost always more than just the two languages. And it's interesting to know how the house functions with all these different languages going on, but you're so enriched by it. That's excellent. That's really great. So I'm very
it's beautiful.
Yes, wonderful experience for them and life. So I'm very curious about your art. I've had a good look, and like I said, we'll share some photos, and anybody who wants to visit your website, your studio is called Taftique, and I believe you have a studio that's is it open in Florence by appointment? Like people can go visit you at your studio?
Yes, I'm open by appointment. You can make an appointment, and then I can receive people. I don't receive people like without an appointment, because
Yes.
for me it would be difficult to work like that. But
Of course, that's
with an
understandable.
yeah.
But it's very central. It's a very key area of Florence, right?
Yes, I live in the historic center. I mean, you need a special permit to get into the historic center for your car. You cannot go inside like coming from outside. You need a special pass from the local municipality, and so it's really a 10-minute walk to the Duomo, the main church on the main square in Florence. So for us, it is really so nice to live here, because we don't need a car. We do everything by foot.
Yeah, no, definitely. That sounds
Yeah.
wonderful. And what a beautiful location to be in and walk outside every single day. The rest of us are very jealous, you know, who wouldn't want to live and
I
work in
think
that area.
that is also. Yes, and maybe just going. I really believe that coming from another part of the continent, living here in such a beautiful place, it's like every morning you wake up and you acknowledge this. I think you even acknowledge it more than people who have been born here, like the Italians born in Florence. And I mean, for them it's just normal. But if you come from outside, you live more this thing more consciously. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah,
I don't know
no,
if
you
I
explained it well. No, that's perfect. And as an artist, it just must be wonderful, because you're constantly surrounded by stimuli. So let's talk about your art. Very interesting, you know, that you are a textile artist. So talk to us a bit about, you know, your artistic process, the materials that you make, your types of art that you do.
Yes, well, for the materials, I'm also in a very good position, because you have a city near Florence, very near, like 15 minutes. It's called Prato, and it's really the center of yarn and textiles in Italy. Also the fashion textiles, also for France and other countries, they are all made here in Prato. So I buy my yarn, and most of my yarn I buy it from local factories here, because it's a really great quality, and they are also specialized in recycled yarn. And they have an incredible quality of and diversity of yarns available.
I found that very interesting. So just to explain, the different types of yarn, let's say, would be wool, silk, and then what else? Like a combination of material?
Yes, so there are these special yarns, for example, with gold and silver threads inside, or which are mixed yarns. You call them mixed yarns because they have a certain percentage of wool or cotton, and then they are combined with like golden or copper threads. So this is the really special effect yarns.
Yeah, and it's so beautiful. And I think you described that on your website, because by having the gold, the silver, the copper, it will pick up on the light, right?
It's fantastic, because using it in the tapestries, you have these special effects inside the yarn. Also, if you put a light on them, it's really great. Yeah, it's very, very nice to see.
And what's great, if you're interested in Jules' work, besides her website, we'll talk about at the end how to reach her. She's posting different videos and kind of interactive ways to see her work on her Instagram, on her social media. So that's excellent too. So do you feel that, you know, there is that through using this historic material made in a historic place, sometimes it is refabricated. Do you feel that you are kind of reclaiming a part of Italian history and giving it kind of your flair or a modern version of what's been done, you know, for centuries?
Well, yes. Well, it has been a Renaissance tradition of adorning homes with tapestries during Renaissance time, in which Florence was the city during that period. The rich, they adorned their homes with tapestries, and that was a tradition that in the later periods completely disappeared because the tapestries became too costly, and because in these these antique ways of making them, it took like several years just to produce one. And so I'm using another kind of technique to make tapestries, which is a little bit, it's still slow, it's still like slow making, but it's not as slow as the traditional technique. And what is really beautiful about this is that having tapestries in your home has, apart from the aesthetic value that they bring, colorfulness and coziness to your home, they also have many advantages, because like in the past, people really use them also because of these advantages, like insonorization, insulation, and they can be vacuum cleaned. So they have many advantages of having them also in your home, not only an aesthetic value.
Yes, there can be if you care for it, like a functionality. Mind you, having looked at some of your works, I thought there is no way, besides the hands, anybody's going to I'd like touch it with, you know, in any other way, you know, because some of them are just so beautiful.
When you see them, you want to touch them, because
yes,
everybody has that like an impulse of wanting to touch when
no.
and
I think that is part of the great thing of your type of art, is that you can interact with it. What I think I didn't express properly is the fact that I wouldn't want anybody sitting or stepping on it, you know, a piece. But of course, that's up to them. So is it all made by hand then?
Yes, it's all made by hand. Everything. It starts from the process of the design, which is a design made by hand, and sometimes also on my computer digitally, because I normally transfer it to the computer, because on the computer then I can give it all the proportions I want, and after that I design it on the large frame, on this kind of canvas that I have on my frame, and then I start working with the yarns and pulling them through the canvas, and that's the way I create my tapestry. So it's all handmade, and I could not make a copy. I mean, for me it's impossible. It's just every piece is unique,
which is just so beautiful. And like I said, is that I really think that this is the connection between the person who eventually owns the work and yours, is that this is something that you've done by hand that is unique, like you said, is not replicated. So, and a great appreciation of, like I said, and restoration of something that's been done for centuries. So it's really beautiful. Like I
Yeah.
said, I hope everybody else, watching or reading the article will appreciate your work as well. So I was very curious, looking down your Instagram. It seems that there are different types,
Mhm.
obviously, and you do custom work according to a client's needs. But it seems to me that you have a connection or a desire to show women in different ways. And I would say more than just the portrayal of women, but also like a strength of character. Can you talk about that?
Mm. Well, yeah, that is my own interpretation of maybe the historical way in which women are portrayed in art, and it's
Mhm.
my own contemporary interpretation of how I would like to to see them. So that's a very personal thing, I believe. It's but I like to use very curved forms
Mhm.
in my mind. So it remains quite an abstract art, but the images can be understood and can be seen. What I want to show, it can be understood. I mean, it's not that abstract.
And I think that's very important, because when we're looking at a woman who is portrayed in an abstract way, we are thinking about different things other than just the superficial. We are thinking about her character and her spirit and her soul. So
Mhm.
I imagine, you're exposed, having the Uffizi right there to so many Renaissance paintings that,
Mhm.
you are
Yes.
constantly observing, how women have been portrayed in art, which is very beautiful, but I like how you've given it your own artistic input.
Mhm.
So I think one thing that's
Yes.
come about, you that would like to hear about, is that you have participated in and received quite a bit of recognition for participating in the Florence Biennale. So tell us a bit about that,
Mhm.
because maybe some people aren't familiar with Biennale associated with Florence. So tell us about the event first.
Mhm. Well, it in reality the Biennale, which is a contemporary art fair, has been here in Florence for about 30 years now,
Mhm.
and so it's not that recent, um, but it's of course, Florence is mainly associated with historic art and not so much with contemporary art. But it has the Biennale. It's very international. I've known also many American artists this last October, many artists from other parts of Europe, from Japan. So it's very international. And it has been beautiful to participate. I met many people from all over, from magazines, art collectors, galleries. So it has been great. And the prize that I won with my tapestry there, the Lorenzo Magnifico Award, was, I didn't expect it, because I'm still quite young as an artist, but it was really, really great. Yeah.
No, well, fantastic. Good for you.
Yeah.
That's a great recognition to have
Yeah.
received. And so, do you feel that this has kind of been a stepping stone towards greater things in your career as an artist?
I think so. Yes, it has been. It is a stepping stone, because it is a recognition that really opens doors to bigger events and more important events. So
Mhm.
that will certainly be there in this year and the coming years. So I'm really happy about that.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is not just a matter of an artist participating. There is an application and process and a criteria, and you are selected. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, yes, that's correct.
So it's quite prestigious to have had this recognition and also be awarded for your work. So that is great. Good for you. So
yeah.
As you may know, prior to us discussing this series, a video series, is called Chat with an Expat. An expat meaning someone like you, a foreigner living in another country. So I usually ask people, what is your definition of an expat?
Well, I mean, if you interpret it as somebody living in another country, then I would be an expat, but I don't interpret it like that, because for me, an expat is someone who gets sent abroad by a company he works for. So that is not my case. In reality, I'm an immigrant in Italy, but of course, in recent years, I also acquired the Italian nationality. So I'm not an immigrant anymore, but I have been for many years. Yeah,
and that's great. Good for you, because I find it's sometimes hard for people to say that they're an immigrant, but that's exactly what we are if we go to move to another country. So did you find at first, because
that's what we are.
Yes, exactly. But some people don't want to use that term, and it very much should be used. And there's nothing wrong with that. So many countries have immigrants and become, citizens of another country and are there for various reasons. So as a foreigner, I mean, you've been living in Italy now for how many years?
For 23 years.
Okay, so that's quite a bit of time. But in the beginning, if you can think back, what was maybe the hardest adjustment between the two cultures, the two countries?
Oh, I don't know. For me, it hasn't been hard, really. I should say that there are differences, but the differences are not so big. I mean, between Western countries, the differences are there. I missed something practical, was that in the Netherlands I went everywhere on my bike. So you can in the Netherlands you can cycle everywhere, and in Italy you can't, because the roads aren't made for bicycles, they're made for cars.
Interesting.
So if you want to if you want to move, you really have to use your car, because on the bicycle it's too dangerous, really. So
or like also, you said, where you are, your feet.
Yes, of course. It's we decided to go to live in the historic center, because we really want to be able to do everything by foot.
Yeah, that's great. That's a wonderful opportunity to have that freedom. I really feel that the ability to walk is a freedom. Yeah. Some people think having a car is freedom, but you're very confined. And like, again, living in such a historic area is just excellent. So say, in addition to that, is there then anything that you miss about where you're from, the Netherlands, besides friends and family, because that's usually the obvious?
Well, the Netherlands is a very easygoing country. I mean, people are really easygoing, and maybe I could say that in Italy there are more traditions, so it can be more complicated because of course, if you go to a country, you need to adapt to their traditions. So that, I think, especially in the first years when I moved to Italy, was maybe more complicated. Like that, some things like simple things I couldn't do as I used to do. But for example, stores they close from 1 to 4 or from 1 to 5 they're closed. Here, like in the Netherlands, everything is open from the morning till the evening, and you can just live your day the way you want it. But
Yes.
here you need to organize, do some things in the morning, and then do some things more later in the evening, because in the middle of the day you can't do many things because the places are closed.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just more, not so much, there's nothing that you miss that's tangible. Like some people say, oh, it's like a food item, or I miss this. It's for you, it's more like just like there was a cultural difference. But it sounds like to me that you very much adapt to Italian life. And I noticed that on your website, you put that you are, you know, I think you put Dutch Italian artist. So you pretty much identify now as an Italian.
Well, yes, because I mean, I'm both. I'm not only Dutch. I'm not only Italian. I can't pull these things apart. I'm both.
Right. No, that's great. Good for you. That's great. And I mean, I think that's the objective of, you know, when we do interview foreigners, is that a part of your life. And that's sometimes what comes up with being an expat. People think that sometimes expats are just people who move to another country and pretty much want to keep their life as it was in their original country and put it somewhere else. What we encourage, or what we hope, or we look for in people, is that if you're going to move to another country, you really become a part of it. And you never lose your identity, but, you know, making an effort to that, even from a travel perspective, we are so much richer if we actually start to learn the language a bit, visit places that aren't famous, you know, look into kind of, you know, the deeper side of a country. So anyway, that being said, I would like you to, and of course, we're going to put all the links below, is tell everybody how we find you, your website, social media, anything like that that you'd like to add.
Well, my website is www.taftique.com, and Taftique written as in a French way, really, TAFTIQUE. Well, on Instagram, I'm there with the name Taftique Textile Art, as well as on Facebook. So I'm also on LinkedIn, for example, but that's with my personal name, Jules Vissers. So.
Okay, that's great.
Yes,
and that might be something that we should,
me.
Before we wrap it up, is that we should talk about, where does the name Taftique come from?
Oh, yes. Well, because the technique I use, the name in English is tufting. And in Italian, you translate this with the verb taftare. So taftique is like transposition of what the technique I use for making my tapestries.
That's beautiful. I love that name, and how appropriate. So anyway, we will wrap it up. I will just say that go ahead and connect with Jules in any way, get to know her art. We'll put as much as we can up on the website as far as photos, so you can have a look, but really the place to go is her website and social media, and then you get little kind of hints about how her day in the studio is. She shows, you know, the process of making the art or installing it, hanging it. It's quite nice to watch. Very peaceful too, to have a look at have a closer look at your art. So once again, we are Live in Italy magazine. The website is www.liveinitalymag.com, and you can find us on social media everywhere, all platforms at Live in Italy Mag. And please continue to watch the videos, subscribe. We really appreciate it. We've grown very quickly in just over a year, so we're very happy to have connected with you. So thanks again, Jules. I hope to see you
Thank
very
you.
soon in person. And I would
Me
love to
too.
see your studio. So we'll talk again soon. Okay?
You're very welcome here in Florence.
Thank you. I look forward
I
to
will-
it. Who wouldn't want to visit you in
I will
Florence?
show you some special places over here.
And best wishes as you continue in your career.